This is Find Your Voice, a podcast created for music educators who believe that teaching music is about more than notes on a page. Each episode, we'll talk with educators, leaders, and musicians who are shaping the future of music learning, one voice at a time. Whether you're conducting a choir, leading a band, or teaching little ones their very first notes, this is your space to connect, learn, and be inspired. Find Your Voice is sponsored in part by Dr. Mom Music and Central College. Hi, it's Dr. Mom Music. In my most recent podcast, I talked about my grandmother who loved to sing, but she had a hard time carrying a tune. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that. There's about 2 to 4% of the population that actually has a hard time carrying a tune. We call it that. Many times we also call it tone deafness. And there's actually a lot of misnomers out there. There's a lot of people that say, oh, I can't sing or I can't carry a tune. Well, actually, if you can talk, which means phonation, if you can phonate, which means speaking, which means your two vocal folds, which are very small muscles in your larynx or your voice box, if those two muscles are vibrating and making noise, if those two muscles are connecting, then you're talking. If you can talk, then you can sing. Now, there's a lot of reasons why you can't potentially carry a tune and why maybe you don't like to sing. So I just want to take a little bit of time to kind of dispel some of those misnomers. My grandma loved to sing, but she had a hard time carrying a tune. I do wish that now, given my age and my profession, I could give her a few voice lessons and help her out in that area. But unfortunately, she's no longer here on earth. I know that she's shining down on me from heaven, but there are a lot of people out there that love to sing and maybe have a hard time matching pitch. And that's what I work on with my students. And as a music educator, that's what I work on with my students, matching pitch. And that begins from day one with just hearing voices in utero. Perception does not equal pitch production. So most people can hear when a note is either higher or lower. But coordinating the voice to move can be difficult for some people. Some of it can be connected to hearing. Maybe there is hearing loss or a sense of some difficulties with hearing. And so we might need to get our hearing assessed. And that can be something, working with an audiologist that can definitely help. But then there's an analogy that I like to use. You can see a basketball hoop. And so I can see that. I can see that it's higher, right, than my 5'4" frame. But I know that I have to practice with shooting higher, right? But it takes practice, okay? And for some people, it takes more practice than others. So singing that accuracy, it might take a little bit more practice in shooting than for other people, and that's okay. So pitch perception and does not equal pitch production. So you might perceive it, but that doesn't equal pitch production. So singing accurately requires real-time feedback between your ears, your brain, and vocal muscles. Another reason can be limited early singing experience. So if you did not do very much singing as a child, that can also play into your lack of vocal mechanism connections between your ears, your brain, and your vocal muscles. So that can also play into it. The brain didn't build those strong connections right away. That doesn't mean that it still can't happen though, okay? Because I can still see that basketball hoop. Again, it just might take a little bit more practice. One of the biggest things that I see with my students, however, is performance anxiety. And one of the things that I hear from non-majors especially is that they're nervous, they're scared, and they love to sing in their car with their friends. They love to sing in the shower when nobody is listening. But the first time they think somebody is listening to them, they stop. So a lot of times I will have students send in recordings for their voice analysis with me, and then I just say that I'm listening to it and my cat's listening to it, and that's it. And that takes a lot of that performance anxiety out of it, especially right away. So we don't even meet in person to begin with. And I think that that helps a lot. So if you're starting out with a voice coach, you might even just start out via Zoom if starting in person is very scary. And so a lot of my coaching just starts via Zoom, and that's a lot less intimidating. And so that can be a huge factor for many adults. I highly encourage you to start doing some coaching via Zoom before you have your first child so that you can become comfortable singing, so that when you start out those lullabies, you are comfortable singing to your child because they will hear that anxiety and fear, and then that will bring anxiety and fear into your baby. And you don't want to give your child that anxiety and fear just in your singing voice. For many Americans, we are accustomed to hearing a lower speaking frequency than is actually healthy, especially in females. So many females tend to speak in their lower, what we call vocal fry. And there's research that would back this up to say females feel more heard when they speak lower because this mimics a cis male sound so that they can be more, again, heard in a career oriented situation. Many individuals that identify as female speak too low in their range, and this is doing damage to their vocal folds in with their speaking. We want to help people understand that in order to connect to their singing voice, they need to experience different ranges in their speaking voice. Not just staying way down here all the time in their speaking voice, but finding all of the different frequencies in their speaking voice and not being afraid to speak up here a little bit sometimes and then down here sometimes too. It's actually a lot more fun to find those different areas in the voice, and it takes pressure off of the voice as well. If you're thinking about like reading to your kiddos, that's where all of the fun voices happen too, right? So you find those different voices. Your kids will love that. It's even more fun to read those children's books and find different voices in those different timbres and different frequencies as well. So again, only 2 to 4% of the population is actually what we would say amusia. Amusia is actually this inability or tone deafness. So there's very few people that actually have this. This is something that is skill-based, and we can continue to work with people to help people to build skill in this area and or help individuals to seek counsel from audiologists and ENTs, health professionals in this area to continue to work to learn more about their vocal mechanism and their hearing so that they can learn to enjoy singing in perhaps a bit of a different way, but still be able to enjoy creating music. So again, if you can talk, if you can phonate, you can sing. It might look different for every single person, but we can create ways to do so. Don't give up on those dreams. You just need to find the right person that can help you. Please tune in to Dr. Mom Music, Find Your Voice. I have a YouTube channel, and I'm on anywhere you can find a podcast. Check it out. Find Your Voice with Dr. Mom is produced, edited, and engineered by Dr. Sarah Van Wardhuizen. Music composed by Dr. Sarah Van Wardhuizen. To book with Dr. Mom, email dr.mom.music4@gmail.com.